Hello friends, good afternoon to all. Today we are going to start the third unit under strategic management, which is nothing but the strategy, formulation and sustenance. As you all know that the strategy is nothing but the long-term plan, 5 years, 10 years, isn't it? In the future, where should be the position of the company and what kind of profit should be earned, and what are the other geographical areas where you can expand the company. All these decisions, all these activities falls under a strategy. Okay, so to formulate the various activities, various resources, whatever are required to achieve all these set goals, mission, vision, isn't it? It falls under what you call the strategy formulation. So according to the definition, what it reveals, strategy formulation refers to the process of choosing the most appropriate course of action for the realization of organizational vision. So, as we already discussed, the basic differences between vision, mission, goals, objectives, isn't it? So what do you mean vision? Vision is nothing but which is a long-term set goal which encourages the company, and which should be a kind of inspiration, isn't it, which actually throws light, just like a lighthouse, the path of what you called the company need to travel. Whereas a mission statement explains the very purpose of the organization, whereas the objectives are nothing but which have the smart qualities. I mean to say specific, measurable, appropriate, realistic, and as well as timely. So the strategy formulation refers to the process of choosing the most appropriate course of action for the realization of organizational vision. So as you all know that as far as the Indian telecom sector is concerned, you know very well, even a small kid gives that the prime position occupied by Jio Telecom. Now, as you know very well, the present technology, whatever they are using, nothing but the fourth generation. If they want to become more advanced so that no other competitive company from India should compete with them, can be assumed as a vision, like developing up to usage of the 6G, 7G, 8G, isn't it? To reach up to that level, whatever activities are required, whatever the technology should be adopted, the kind of funds required, the human resources, all this comes under what we call the strategy formulation. So generally the strategy formulation is of what we call 6 steps process. So what are those 6 steps? Setting organization's objectives, evaluating the organizational environment, setting quantitative targets, aiming in context with the divisional plans, performance analysis, choice of strategy, isn't it? So let us go for the first objective. What do you call that one? The setting organization's objectives. So objectives are nothing but which should be smart. That means specific, measurable, appropriate, realistic, and as well as time bound. Understand? The key component of any organization statement is to set the long-term objectives of the organization. So short term, long term, isn't it? The long term might be sometimes 1 year, more than 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, isn't it? Always every company should have the forecasting of their objectives. So a manufacturing company is there which produces 4-wheelers, isn't it? So after 5 years, where their position should be, they should become number one in as far as the export of their vehicles are concerned, or else they won't have purely running or driving their cars by using artificial intelligence. Nothing but adopting the technology, new technology. So strategy is a wider term which believes in the manner of deployment of resources so as to achieve the objective. So in general, strategy nothing but how wisely one can uses the available resources of the company. So as I already informed you, the Zero company, if you take their main resources, is going to be the funds mobilization, and as well as what you call, they got huge experiences besides this telecom sector, in other areas also. So how to mobilize, how to optimistically utilize these, available resources in order to achieve the objective. So which all falls under setting organization's objectives. The second step, evaluating the organization environment. What is there? The next step is to evaluate the general economic and industrial environment in which the organizations operates. Generally, whenever an organization taking care of their businesses, there will be few kinds of factors which impacts the development or else the growth of the company. Might be internal factors, external factors. As far internal factors are concerned, nothing but the employees, their skill set, and as well as what you call various kinds of disturbances based upon the unions, employees unions, and as well as external environment is concerned, the friendly policies, implementation of the government, permissions given by the government, the soaps generally given to the organizations, all these are all nothing but what the external environment. So when you go for running any organization or any business, so you need to be very careful in understanding about the internal and as well as the external environment. So it is essential to conduct a qualitative and as well as the quantitative review of an organization existing product line. So your qualitative means nothing but the impression over the products, PNG products are there. Most of the people will be using like Lux, isn't it? Highly successful bath soap. So generally regarding that product, a good impression would be there, a goodwill would be there. But how many sales of that particular Lux soap have been, doing? So what do you call that? The quantitative information. So these figures are going to be very, very important informative figures. Setting quantitative targets. The third step is going to be always you should have the objectives in terms of quantitative information. By the time next 2 financial years, our imports should be what to call to the level of 5 crores or 3 crores or else what to call the 10 crores of what to call volume. Such a way quantitatively, figuratively, fixing to a target generally creates, a serious environment that leads to the success of the organization. So what is that? Organization must practically fix the quantitative target values for some of the organizational objectives. Fourth one, aiming in context with the divisional plans. Here the contributions made by each department or division or product category within the organization is identified, and accordingly strategic planning is done for each subunit. So these are all internal factors. So as far as a company is concerned, various departments would be there, divisions would be there, seniors would be there, juniors would be there, technical persons would be there, functional persons would be there, line functions would be there. So all these people combined effort should be considered for appropriate strategic planning. So this requires careful analysis of the microeconomics. Now let us go for the fifth step, the performance analysis. What it includes? It includes discovering and analyzing the gap between the plan and desired performance. Whether the plan and as well as the performance, whatever actually taken place, going hand in hand, or else is there any deviation? Is there any considerable deviation or negligible deviation? The deviation is significant or not? You have to identify. Then it leads to successful strategical planning. That means long-term plan. Choice of strategy. So after considering original goals, objectives, strength, weaknesses, external environment, suitable course of action chosen. So when you go to a shopping, according to the available budget, according to the available companies, available products, you are going to have a decision making which is suitable one. Same way, strategies are going to be framed more than one. But the actual situation is very, very important. For the actual situation, whichever is matches, that strategy only will be considered and will be implemented. Then only it leads to the wanted kind of achievement of the result. So these are the steps. Now we go for the business level strategy. One of the very, very important types of the strategies. So under business level strategies, generally what happens on day-to-day activities, various kinds of decisions and as well as changes whatever are required for the successful implementation of the business will be considered. The best example is nothing but, let us take 3 grocery stores. Store A, Store B, Store C. Store A is a fundamentally what you called a running store. So that Store A person never gives you the discounts. The second B type store is a, let us suppose, a supermarket. And third one is a C store, Store C, which actually maintains locally grown produce and as well as the others. All of them will have 3 variety kinds of strategies, but all of them sell same kind of goods or same kind of products. All of them are going to be successful somewhat, because based upon the strategy, different set of the consumers are going to attract to that particular shop. So they are going to have day to day different kinds of changes. So what you call such a kind of day-to-day change is known as the business level strategy. Whether that is a service kind of business or else what you call a manufacturing of products business, isn't it? So let us see here slide. So business level strategy that aligns day-to-day operations with long-term goals. Whatever changes you are going to make, whatever decisions you are going to take, whatever alterations you are going to do in day-to-day operations should be connected to the long-term goals. A business level strategy is chosen based on the strengths and weaknesses of the company's products or services and on how it wants to be pursued by its customers. Generally, the business level strategies are going to vary based upon the kind of product you are providing to the customers. Hospital is there. Hospital purely falls under a service sector. So there the business level strategy is going to be altogether different, because now the COVID situation is there. Many of them want to have jab, vaccination. So in order to improve their business, in order to have that goodwill from the customers, I mean to say patients here, they want to have a different kind of business level strategy. Now one more way, if you take the petrol prices have been increasing, fuel prices have been, rising. So in order to attract the customers, isn't it? The 2-wheelers, 4-wheelers will have their own what you call different kinds of business level strategies in order to improve their product sales. The goal of business level strategy is to maximize profits and return on investment, ROI. So return on investment by taking advantage of the company's strengths. This is most important. So generally, what is a business level strategy? The day-to-day whatever changes you made in keeping in view that long-term goal strategy. So what are the steps for adopting a successful business level strategy? Review or develop vision and mission. First, and information from various stakeholders. What are the stakeholders who are responsible, who will have the impact whatever happens to the business, isn't it? Like shareholders will be there, customers, employees, suppliers, communities will be collected. Develop company's vision and mission. So while a business level strategy is going to be being implemented, revision will be taking place. Vision and mission will be developed based upon the opinions, the information, whatever is considered from the stakeholders. The next one is you need to conduct the SWOT analysis: strength, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. So this is called SWOT analysis. The company's strengths, the company's weaknesses, opportunities and threats. Generally, strength, weaknesses are internal. Opportunity, threats are going to be the external. So we need to maintain a balance in all these what we call 4 areas in order to have the successful planning of business level strategy. Develop and select strategic options. It is often several possible strategies are developed. Every one of them seems important, but one needs to use appropriate tool to select from the possible strategies. I already told you. When a customer goes to the market to purchase a product, there will be so many options, wide variety of selection possibilities would be there. So they need to actually decide, that customer need to decide what is my problem. For that, what are the resources I got? So based upon the resources, which way I can have the solution. So one should not be confused with the availability of our different variety kinds of strategies. Based upon the existing situation, you need to take the suitable strategy. You need to adopt the suitable strategy. Establish strategic objectives. So here, objective strategies will be selected. Templates can be used. What do you mean by template? A template is nothing but the business plan, blueprint. Already everything will be meticulously planned. Just like you will be observing templates in the Microsoft Office. So a resume template would be there. So before that name you need to enter your name. So your qualifications. Before that qualification you give the qualification. You need to set all that information. Already preset that one. Same way, business objectives are concerned, a template will be there. So in the template, according to your organization, the kind of business what you are doing, you feed your information, the beautifully planned, business plan will be come out. So what you call these? Establish strategic objectives. Strategy execution plan. Appropriate development plan is developed to implement the strategies. So generally on paper planning is so easy, but practically when implementation process comes, isn't it? It is going to be very, very difficult, for which what is required, a meticulous way of what you call operating the things are important. So establish resource allocation. Key tasks are allocated, key personnel. Sometimes it leads to overburden. In the organization, sometimes what happens, a peculiar, an important task will be allocated to senior most persons, key persons, like recruiting of a technical persons or purchasing a new machinery, adopting a new technology kind of decisions. But sometimes what happens, this decision making becomes overburden to those particular key resource persons. So the final one is the execution review. So always review is very very important, which leads to progress, decision taking if any deviation arises. Whether the set business plan is on the course or not, its development, its progress can be identified. If at all any deviation is there, you can have the alterations. So that is possible because of what we call execution review. But here the reviewer's ability, skill set, experience is so important. So these are the few steps under what you called the business plan. Understand? Now we go for discussing creating and sustaining competitive advantage. What is a competitive advantage? The competitive advantage is nothing but asset over other competitor companies. Zio is a very very big company, technological advanced company with a healthy funds, isn't it? It is going to be a very big competitive advantage for the Zio company. Let us take a Maruti Suzuki company. It will have more number of customers base, is it? And more number of distribution centers, so which actually gives them an unexpected advantage. So what do you call this? This is known as a competitive advantage. Every company should identify what are their competitive advantages first, because without acknowledging the competitive advantage, it's very difficult to get success in the strategical planning. Okay, so according to the definition, a competitive advantage is an advantage over competitors gained by offering consumers greater value, either by means of lowest prices or by providing greater benefits and services that justify higher prices. Understand? Competitive advantage represents the superior position enjoyed by a firm with respect to its certain functions or factors or activities when compared to its competitors. Let us take Hyderabad. Hyderabad is known for what we called health sector. Here you find so many good hospitals are there, like Apollo hospitals is there, KIMS is there, Yashoda is there, isn't it? All they are going to have their own competitive advantage in terms of the area, in terms of the doctors, working staff, the available facilities. Understand? What are the examples for a Tata company? It's a very old company, goodwill, Zio. So the Zio company is having considerable customer base. So these are going to be their competitive advantages. So what is the nature and significance of the competitive advantage? Why is it required? I already told you. So competitive advantage and firm strategy go hand in hand and cannot exist without maintaining assistance and cooperation between them. So both should gel each other, should go side by side. Understand? So separately, if you want to have the success, it's very difficult. Hence, competitive advantage and as well as the strategy should go hand in hand. If the firm does not have any suitable competitive advantage, then it is not able to implement the selected strategy. Every firm will have considerable or non-considerable competitive advantage. By keenly observing the environment, the owner or the decision maker of the company should identify the actual competitive advantage of the particular company. The successful strategy of any firm is constructed based on its method of competitive advantage. So the competitive advantage helps a lot in successful planning of the strategy. Competitive advantage also helps the firm to optimally and successfully exploit its opportunities and to avoid threats and risks. So competitive advantage, saves a lot as far as what are called benefit of the companies are concerned. It rescues from various threats and unwanted kind of situations. I mean to say, the competitive advantage helps in deriving the successful future of the company. In simple terms, competitive advantage acts as the heart of the strategy. So in simple terms, competitive advantage can be assumed as the heart of a strategy. That means most important is nothing but the competitive advantage. So today, what we have discussed? So today I have started the third unit. So what is the third unit? Strategy, formulation, sustenance. Here we are going to discuss about the methods, steps for strategy formulation, business level strategy, creating and sustaining competitive advantage. So in the next class we go for discussing generic strategies, choice based strategies, industry. So some of the information. So today what we covered, like nature and significance of competitive advantage, creating and sustaining competitive advantage. So business level strategy, what are the steps? Review or develop vision and mission. Go for SWOT, develop and select strategic options. Establish strategic objectives, strategy execution plan. Establish resource allocation, execution review. So next we discuss business level strategy. So business level strategy that aligns day-to-day operation with long-term goals. A business level strategy is chosen based on the strengths and weaknesses of the company's products or services and on how it wants to be perceived by its customers. The goal of business strategy level is to maximize profits and return on investment by taking advantage of the company's strengths. Example, 3 grocery stores. First one is no discounts. Second one is supermarkets. The third one is the locally grown produce and others. So today we started with this topic, strategy, formulation and sustenance. So what is strategy formulation? Refers to the process of choosing the most appropriate course of action for the realization of organizational vision. So 6 steps are there: setting organization's objectives, evaluating the organizational environment, setting quantitative targets, aiming in context with the divisional plans, performance analysis, choice of strategy. So this is setting organization's objective, its purpose. Now evaluating the organization environment and setting quantitative targets. The fourth one, aiming in context with the divisional plans here made by each department or division or product category within the organization is identified and accordingly strategic planning is done for each subunit. Fifth one, performance analysis. The sixth one, choice of strategy. So what do you mean by that? After considering organizational goals, objectives, strength, weaknesses, external environment, suitable course of action chosen. Thank you so much.